All right, welcome back, everybody. Thanks for coming back. This is Backyard Sim Racing, and I've got another video for you. This is going to be a tips video, and I'm going to try to make it as quick as possible. What I'm attempting to do in this video is help the newcomers and maybe even some old guys, old timers that have been around iRacing for a while. These are the settings that I prefer and I have tested. I feel like these settings will give you the most optimal car control when racing in iRacing. Now, I'm not talking about individual settings per cars like suspensions. What I'm talking about is your wheel settings, force feedback settings, and some graphics settings that you can change both in the game and outside of the game to get the best settings. Try this before you say whether or not you think it'll work, because I can tell you that since I have been using these settings, my laps have gotten a lot more consistent. They're always within a couple of tenths. I place a lot higher every race I'm in unless I wreck out, which does happen from time to time, but the races I place in the top half pretty much all the time, and I'm just generally faster. So this does really work. To give you an explanation of how I feel with this is that I feel like with these settings, I'm much more comfortable in racing harder, knowing that I can keep control of my car. If it starts to slide, I can catch a slide better. I feel more comfortable being in packs of cars, because if I need to make a quick maneuver, I can do all those things. So I'm just going to get right into the settings and try to kind of make this a little bit quick. I am going to talk through this with the settings with the equipment that I have. I have a TX racing wheel and pedal setup. I've got my graphics card is an EVGA GTX 980 Ti superclocked. So I've got plenty of graphics power, pushing triple monitors, and I'm trying to think. Wheel, yeah, that's the only things that you may have different is wheels and your graphics. So I'm running Nvidia graphics and a Thrustmaster wheel. If you're running a different wheel or a different graphics card, I'm sure they have something similar. So step one, what you're going to want to do is go into your Nvidia control panel or your AMD control panel, whatever you have. Open that control panel up. With Nvidia, I can't do it right now because the screen that I'm capturing has got a browser up, but if this was an open background, you would right click and then there would be an option for the Nvidia control panel. When you clicked it, this would come up. When it came up, you would actually be in Adjust Image Settings with Preview tab, and you want to double click on Manage 3D Settings. Inside 3D Settings, you see the Global Settings tab, and you should already be on it. In the Global Settings tab, you're going to scroll all the way to the bottom. Second to last thing on the bottom is Vertical Sync. I know Nvidia calls it vertical sync. Other graphics card companies call it something else, but I know that they have something similar. The thing that I like about Nvidia is Nvidia will allow you to do adaptive sync, and my computer is apparently thinking about something. Nvidia will allow you to do adaptive vertical sync, so it will keep you on your refresh rate, but if your frames per second drop below it, it will turn vertical sync off, and then when they calm back down and get back up to where they need to be, it'll turn them back on. So it reduces screen tearing and it keeps your equipment at the frames per second that your monitors require. Very quickly, I know that a lot of people say not to turn on vertical sync and not to cap frame rates because they say that it gives you a input lag. I don't feel like that is true. It definitely feels different, but I don't think there's input lag, and the reason I feel like that is because I run faster and better with adaptive sync on. It's obvious how much easier it is. It's so obvious how much easier it is to keep your car in control with vertical sync on. That's what I'm basing it on. I'm not going to argue it. Try it out if you want to try these steps. Turn on vertical sync. That's step one. Step two, you're going to go into your Thrustmaster control panel, which can be found under Control Panel, Hardware and Sound, Devices and Printers, and then you right-click on your Thrustmaster TX Racing Wheel and go into your Game Controller Settings. Most of these will probably be pretty similar to everyone else's except for one. I know, well, where'd it go? Okay, so most of these, and go to your gain settings, that's the only tab we're worried about. Most of these right here should be pretty similar to most people's, but I know a lot of people max their overall strength out. Don't do that. You don't need all that power. You just don't need it all. For one, it can cause clipping, which can give you artifact in what you're feeling through the wheel. You just don't need it. Go 85% here in your control panel. And that's step two. Real quick, in the last update that included the Nürburgring, iRacing changed the way force feedback works. In game, they've added some sensations. I don't prefer those, and if you want to try these methods that I'm talking about, you need to go revert back to the original way it was before this update. And how you do that is you go to your computer, you go to Documents, go to iRacing, go to this app INI file right here, and scroll way down till you see force feedback on this side, and you're going to go down to this damping slider sets friction. That's the new thing they added. If you haven't changed it, this will be set to 1. If you want it back to the way it was before the update, which you need it to be for this to work, put it on 0, close out of the file, and save it. If you change something in a text file, it'll ask you to save it. Say yes. Then you can get out of that. And now we're going to go into the in-game settings. So once I get there, I'll get right back with you. Alright guys, welcome back. We are in game. We are going into the options menu, and we're going to be looking at force feedback. Now I'm going to do a little bit of talking on this one and try not to bore you too much, but I feel like this is a good point where I can give you some of this information. I feel like I need to validate my argument. Actually, I feel like my consistent lap times, my faster lap times, and just doing better overall is enough to validate that I think this works. But I know a lot of people have a big problem with VSync. Just try VSync. But I know that right now, what you're probably looking at, you're like, dang, man, you do not have very much strength in your force feedback. Well, here's where I'm going to validate my argument on this. I don't feel like you need a lot of strength in your force feedback. That's not the important factor. If you are in an actual car, racing, driving on the street, power steering, no power steering, electronic steering, whatever you happen to have in your car, you don't get feeling sensation in the wheel of a force that pushes back when you turn left or right. You only ever get that if you are really pushing incredibly hard into a corner. If you turn the strength up too high on force feedback, my opinion is that you get that feeling constantly, and I know that it's nice because it gives you a reaction. It lets you know that, yes, this wheel is a good wheel, and it's able to exert a lot of force against my hands, but that's not realistic. The idea is to make it as realistic as possible. If you make the feelings realistic, your driving will follow in suit, and you'll just do much better, I promise. So here are my settings right here. Obviously, enable force feedback, use linear mode, and dampen oscillations, which I think is a new setting since the new update, but I've still got this checked. I can't really tell a whole lot of difference between when it's off and on, but don't quote me on that because I didn't do a lot of research into this particular button because I wasn't familiar with it. Strength. My strength that I pick depends on what vehicle I'm in, and it ranges from a low of about 11 or 12 to a high of 18. I do not go any higher than 18. Anything over 18 is too much. Depending on what vehicle I'm in, what the weight of it is, I may dampen it a little bit because some cars do need it, but a good reference point is 10%. Minimum force is the most important thing. This is the one you really need to make sure that you fix. I think it's preset very close to 0, if not at 0, but you need it to be up closer to 25. As close as you can push it to the top without it being too much is where you need to be. This is going to give you your center spring feel. This is going to be what gives you the feeling that you get when your car is going in a straight line. Not pushing your hand one way or the other. You're going to feel the vibrations, the bumps. The higher you push this up, this is going to help you feel what's on the pavement under your tires. This also has a great deal of importance on letting you know. This tells your brain when your car starts to spin before it does. If you turn this down, there's no sensations letting you know that your car has lost traction and you're about to spin around until it's too late. When you turn this up, believe me, just take my word for it and try it. You will spin less and you will feel more confident. As a matter of fact, if you change all of these settings the way that I've suggested, you will be a much better driver. So definitely try it out. And let me know what you think, because it's made a great deal of difference with me, and I'm enjoying iRacing so much more now that I've fixed these settings. So if this helped you out and you're willing to try it or whatever, just leave a like down in the comments, or leave me a like. And if you didn't think it worked or you got a better idea, put it down in the comments, whatever you want to do. But I hope it did help somebody out. As always, I enjoy you. I appreciate you coming and checking out the video, and I will see you guys in the next one.